Welcome to Middle Centre, our adaptation of Middle Ground, where we bring together two different groups of people to encourage understanding. Today we've gathered young people to discuss what actually gets you the job these days. What you know or who you know. With each question asked, we'll ask people who agree with the prompt to raise their hands and speak their minds, before inviting the disagreeers to discuss. Middle Centre is where we get to understand the other side. Let's talk. If you're qualified for a job and have the relevant experience, you should get that job.
We're all in disagreement. My name is Renata Albrecht. I'm half German. Please call me Ren. If you call me Renata, I feel like I'm in trouble. And I'm from the brand Cartel, which means I get a gangster name, and that is Mob Mother. So you can take your pick. And I am the media director at Brand Cartel. That doesn't really mean a lot other than bossing people around every single day and doing a good job at it. And I am 40. No, I'm 36, but now I seem younger, right? Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a lot more than just ticking those boxes. For me, it's about sharing values with that company. And it's also about having chemistry, right? Because if you don't have those things, you're not going to work well together.
True, but look, I feel like it depends on how you interpreted it, because I feel like there are certain people that are in positions they don't necessarily deserve to be in, even though maybe you studied for it, but you're skilled. Because sometimes I don't feel like you being skilled for something necessarily means you should be in that kind of job. And by skill, I mean like going to school for it. Because you find someone who's self-taught. I'm going to make an example with makeup. Mm-hmm. Probably better than most makeup artists. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is you can go and get the formal education, but do you have what it takes to actually do the job, carry out the job, and do it better than the average person would? So,
for me, a lot of people do get the qualifications, but the application and implementation is not so easy for people who are scholars. So that's why I disagree, and I do say that sometimes skills do resonate, and if you can actually apply yourself, then you can definitely do it.
Is more important.
Yeah.
Also, I think there's a lot of competition out there. So having the qualification and the experience is one thing, but being the best, almost like applicant in that position is a completely different thing altogether. So I feel like you need to know who you're up against and make sure that you put yourself as far as you can on that list. Otherwise, you'll have your qualification, you'll have your experience, but other people that edge you that much over will just keep getting the job.
Be irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, how do you decide you are irreplaceable when you're still applying for the job, right? There's a job open. Let's say you are looking for an engineer. There are 10 people who actually meet the requirements. We're talking about the tick boxes, right? The qualification, the 5-year experience, have you worked for this industry and so forth. But out of the 10 of you, only one will get the job. And that's usually the one that particular organization will resonate with the most.
Absolutely.
So no, the answer is actually no. You can always be box ready for a job, but I always say that you need to go beyond and above what else do you bring to the table that the other people don't bring that makes you different, and that will get you and secure you that job.
If the company has an appetite for that, because that's the other thing you need to consider. Sometimes people want you to fit into the box and to conform. So if you bring your flavor and you bring your authenticity, and maybe you do tick those boxes, but ultimately it will work against you and you won't get it. So
look, I always say gone are the days where it becomes about the company. It's no longer a case of company interviewing you to see if you are a fit for their organization. It's two ways. My name is Noxolo Mnisi. I am 21. No, I'm joking. I am actually 37, just turned 37. Crazy. And I work for Nestle South Africa, or Nestle Eastern South Africa. So I'm a talent management and acquisition lead, as well as a youth manager, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Even as an individual, you have the right to go to a company, interview, and decide, actually, I'm not interested.
Absolutely.
Because I looked at your values, I looked at how you work, and I looked at certain things, and it didn't actually meet what I'm trying to
to achieve or how I want to work as an individual. I guess the nice thing about having the right skill and having, the experience as well is you also get to call the shots in terms of what does this look like for me? What do I want? What kind of organization do I want to work for? So now it's the other way around. We both interview each other. And if we meet in the middle ground and we decide, okay, we like each other, both of us, then, that's when we accept the offer. But if the company likes you, but I look at the company and I'm like, no, typical example, I think some few years ago, I went for an interview and great company, multinational, the works, And I think I asked around their flexibility policy. What does that look like? Oh, no, it's an 8 to 5. We always in the office. I was like, no, this, and when the offer came, I was like, it doesn't align with how I prefer to work or how I want to work. So I declined it on those bases. So it's a give and take now. We both have to do what works for both of us in order to be our best selves.
All accents are respected equally in the workplace.
Absolutely not. My name is Karen Mtetra. They call me Unyambo Somuhle, and I'm popularly known as the young girl from the ghetto. I am 26 years old. I'm a media practitioner. Specifically, I'm interested in TV and radio presenting. Absolutely not. Let's be honest. I feel like, especially in the workplace, not even in the workplace, like in life in general, you're highly likely to get mocked if you have like a different kind of accent, and that's why we also have corporate accents. We have I'm at home with my friends, we're chilling kind of accents. It's honestly, guys, it's a thing, and that is why there's nothing. I don't think it's a good thing, but there's nothing you can actually do to change it because we're all different, and whatever is different, we always stick out like a sword.
I need to be comfortable when I'm speaking to people, and sometimes some people do not like that corporate voice. I found that when I'm presenting, especially to corporate clients, the aim is just to get them to understand the idea. And we're very creative people that speak in the most informal, is it informal? Way ever, just to get ideas across. So you have to gauge the room. There's different ways of communicating in different rooms, but just be comfortable with yourself. Don't push yourself to be too corporate when there's no need. I felt like being conversational is the best way to go in most spaces.
I think more and more companies now are trying to introduce bias training, for their staff or their people, just to also be able to overlook certain things. Because yes, you are right. We can both go to the same interview, but probably the one that's more, well-versed and more vocal, who speaks, Woolly's English is normally the one that that they consider. Yes, that's what they call it, right? And you've seen it many, over and over again, situations where young people coming from disadvantaged backgrounds who don't have English as a first language struggle to express themselves. Do they have the skill? Yes. Can they sell themselves? No. Where else somebody who has Toastmasters and well-spoken, I can present myself. So I think the solution will probably be, let us introduce more bias education so that people can learn to look beyond the how do you speak and start looking at the depth of what you are saying, actually.
I wouldn't say I have a corporate voice. I'd just say I have my own voice. So I mainly, whenever I'm in a meeting and I'm presenting to executives, I also want to be a bit comfortable. So I wouldn't want to force something that is not natural. So I always use my voice. So what I can say, sometimes when people do speak, they actually, they put you on a scale to take your intelligence. The way you speak, it actually... people actually check that out, and what I could say is that most of the time when I've seen it with me is that I've had competitors at work, and then I could see that my English actually goes above them, and then the executives, the CEOs, my boss would actually be more connected, or maybe would understand me more than my competitors.
Yeah. I think what I've seen at work is it's a two-part thing.
Okay.
In terms of being comfortable around the workspace and having social friends and whatnot, they'll look at your accent. It'll decide who you sit with, who you're friends with. However, when it gets to doing client presentations, for an example, I've found that people that feel like they don't have a strong accent are more visual in terms of adding slides, adding pictures, adding video references. So at the end,
Conversation.
exactly. So at the end of the day, I think accent will only truly count if you are in a social setting, but if you're presenting work, the important stuff, it's about communicating the idea. It's about communicating the work. So if you feel like your accent is a hindrance, be a more visual person. Make sure that your idea is understood one way or another. We even got to a point where I worked with a friend of mine when I first started working, and he wasn't confident in speaking. So I'd present some of his ideas, but he'd have to tell me what he's trying to communicate. And he'd put together the slides. And while he was learning how to better his accent, his work was still being seen and being recognized. So it's a problem, it's there. But the main aim, I think, is communicating your ideas and making sure they're heard, whichever way. My name is Ulwando Nako. I'm 31, and I'm a copywriter at one of South Africa's most coolest advertising agencies.
You just own it. Because guys, this is my real accent, eh?
Like, I think
This is how I
that is
speak.
It shouldn't be a thing, though. I think,
But it is.
No, I'm saying it
shouldn't.
shouldn't be a thing.
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't be.
You know, and we created a society as well, because you get into spaces and you'll hear somebody say, "Oh my God, you're so well spoken,"
Yeah.
and you're like, "What do you
Yeah.
mean?" So what does well spoken
That's rude.
mean? Because you can probably express yourself differently than other people and so forth. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I didn't actually even consider the makeup for it in other ways. Practice also helps, guys. Practicing, not everybody comes from a background where they've been exposed to being always able to express themselves.
That's actually
So you need to train yourself, especially if you're going to be in spaces where you must be, more engaging now. You must be presenting a lot more. That comes with practice, and it comes, I think, with time. The more you do something, the more you perfect it. We're not saying, start twanging, saying practice how you want to be expressive and master that, and then you should be okay.
Do I have a corporate voice? Hi, my name is Karen Mteta. Yeah, I'd like to. Do you have a moment? Absolutely amazing. So also, I'm a voiceover artist, so I know how to switch it up. And if I'm with my friends, like, Dana, see, Grandy. But obviously, if it's someone, or it's a show, or it's like a radio show, it's like, hey, it's 6 minutes after the hour 12. Obviously, you kind of have to finesse nyan and have that finesse. So it's very important, and I do have a corporate voice.
I dress a certain way for interviews that's different to how I dress on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, otherwise I'd be in my pajamas.
Exactly, because I feel like I'm a very sluggish person. Like when I'm home, it's like sweatpants, shorts. Now imagine I'm going for like an interview somewhere, and then I'm like, yeah, sure, it didn't. Well, actually, it depends, because I'm in the creative space, so it's not really what you look like. But if you're corporate, you obviously can't come with like your jeans and your t-shirt. It makes no sense, because I feel like people buy with their eyes. Like, it's just the first impression counts, and that is the truth. How you look, how you smell, how you walk, how you present yourself. Before you say anything, I've already judged you.
Absolutely.
I know that you like it or not.
I'm going to be the devil's advocate in this one, right? Two things about expressing yourself when you rock up for interviews. Guys, nobody's expecting people to come to an interview in suits. Nor are you expected to come looking like you're Princess Diana all put together. I think the context or the core part of an interview is just look clean and presentable, all right? Simple thing. Of course, you can't rock up with torn jeans in an interview, but you can rock up with jeans, right? You can't rock up in high heels, because what if I just prefer sneakers as a female? But I can rock up in my sneakers looking nice and presentable in order for myself to be able to sell myself. Don't show up obviously in creamed up clothes. Don't show up in now you're smelling clothes and this and that. It's all about presentation and packaging. We have moved from the wear 3-piece suit in order to be taken seriously. Maybe in certain sectors that still counts. But in most industries now, I promise you, it's a come as you are, as long as it's respectful. You can't come to an interview with track pants, of course, now. There's just certain things that, of course, you must also apply as an individual to say, does this even make sense? I can't come to an interview with leggings. But like I said, I can come to an interview with my nice fitted, jeans and a shirt or whatever.
The blazer, you
you
put
know,
the nice blazer.
Exactly. Even without a blazer, guys, I don't think we are past the stage of now we must be in, suit and ties and tie your hair up. In fact, now when I have tattoos or I've got, nose rings, hey, show up as you are. And if a company buys into you as an individual, they buy into your individual representation. Can you imagine I show up for an interview in a suit and then my first day I come in a short dress that shows all my tattoo sleeves and you know what I mean? And suddenly it's this is not what we signed up for. So just present yourself as you are. Just look respectful.
Being in a position to present yourself in a presentable format but still staying true to yourself. So I, for one, love a good blazer. So I would wear that because that's authentic to me, but I'm not going to wear it because I think you're going to like me more if I'm rocking a Zara blazer. So I think that is what's important. So my general aesthetic at work these days is being in my active wear because we do Pilates in the morning. But if I've got a meeting with a certain client who's potentially a corporate, I'm not going to rock up in my Pilates attire. But what I would potentially do is jig the outfits so that when I rock up in that environment, it doesn't look like I'm disconnected from who the client is. So I think for me, the biggest thing is just being authentic and being real and not lying. Absolutely. Because we can lie with our appearance if we're wanting people to accept us. And I, for one, don't care. Like, I really don't.
Age, race, gender, and other demographic factors should play no part in the hiring or recruitment process.
I agree.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about the work and who can do it best. So I'd live better knowing that I couldn't get a job because someone that does it better got the job and not because of everything else. I think the more you consider all the other things, it takes away from the person who's actually been working really hard for it, the person that's kind of like put in the hours. So I think just to be fair, give it to the most deserving person.
So I don't really go for interviews, but the answer is yes. I have faced discrimination. I think also because I'm into entertainment and like mainstream media. I'm kind of big, it's visible, and a lot of big girls don't get opportunities, and I think that's also one of the reasons why it's been so hard for me to break out, because if they can't sell you, because, well, you're not easy on most people's eyes, you're not going to get the opportunity. It's just like that.
My name is Emmanuel Lebukang Manotwane. I'm a project coordinator for one of the biggest South Africa's recruitment agency. My age is 26. I also agree, by the way, because I do feel like we live in a society whereby you are judged by the color of your skin, even though we can say that we've moved across that and we've actually made peace with apartheid and everything. But then I do feel like in situations like that, sometimes a white person would get the job because a white person is more regarded as reliable and can actually, follow through and do the job much more effectively than a black person. So I do agree that it shouldn't be because of race and color, and it should be definitely because of your skills, your track record, what you have done before, and then you deserve the job if you can.
I do think that there is scope for more work in that department, but I definitely think we're evening out the playing fields, and I think that we're moving in the right direction. There's more consciousness that has been brought toward the subject matter, and I think because of that we're more open-minded, because I think we all know when we were out in the workforce, and I'm flippin' old, so having colourful hair or a nose ring or anything like that was kind of frowned upon. I've never cared though. I'm like, this is who I am. If I have pink hair, I'm gonna rock the meeting with it, because you gotta accept me for who I am.
And I'll tell you why. We have a lot of different landscapes currently in the workplace. There are more men that are in senior leadership positions. There are more white men that are in CEO and executive roles than there are black females. And it's not in the sense to say, are the black females less qualified? It's just that the opportunities are not being given. I think we do need to get to a point as a country where we understand where we come from and we level up the playing field, right? Until such a time that diversity and inclusion are considered whenever we're making decisions to hire, and not, oh, he's been a CEO for 20 years, so therefore he's actually better than Knox, who's probably been a CEO for 5 years. What is it that Knox brings to the table that this, person cannot bring? I do think that we need to get to a point where we start leveling up the opportunity field. And then I think once, it's leveled, then we can go back and start having conversations around it shouldn't matter. But until such a time where female have the same employment as men, until such a time that young people have opportunities in the workplace and we're not looking at the scourges of high unemployment where we are right now, until such a time where race, within corporate and general employment are not a thing, then we can start having conversations around it doesn't matter. Right now, it does matter. I think right now is the opportunity and the time for us to level up the playing field and start giving people, job opportunities that they deserve, not that are driven by, you've been doing this for 50 years, so therefore you are more qualified.
For sure.
That's it.
I think that's where my point kind of comes in, is that it's what you've done for yourself, your talent, you can have 10 years experience, but if the other person is just better at the job with 5 years experience,
100%.
it shouldn't matter, So in leveling up the playing field, I feel like that could do so much, because as you say, there are men that have went ahead, unfairly so, where you could find there's 5 women that can do the job way better. So things like that shouldn't be part of the conversation. But in terms of just the raw talent and how a person does the work, I think that should be the only decider. And there, it won't matter if there's like 100 guys or 100 women. At least it's...
I just want to also throw in the be intentional about giving the other parties who have not had the opportunities a chance. The females, the young people. Be intentional about pushing those people through as well.
Yes.
And that's it.
So I think for me, certain jobs call for a certain demographic, and I'll give you an example. Would you like to work on a tampon brand? You wouldn't be able to. You don't understand what it's like going through that. So certain jobs, you do need to consider gender. You also need to consider race. As an example, having me working on ORS, maybe not the greatest idea, because I don't understand the struggles of a Black woman and what she deals with her hair. So
then it's an opportunity for you to understand. In
Sure.
fact, if anything, we need to stop the scourge, guys, of I can't send him to go buy tampons or not understand what tampons are used for because he's a man. He must be queuing there buying tampons, right? And that's how we're going to understand each other. If I'm a Black person, and let's say I need to now start working in a rugby environment that is more white than it is Black, it's my, opportunity to then teach myself to learn about other cultures and what they go through, what they enjoy, how they diversify and bring themselves together.
Sure.
That's the only way we are going to eventually understand each other and respect each other. Because if you are going to exclude yourself because it's a Black thing, or it's a woman thing, or it's a man thing, then already we are drawing the line. The battlefields are drawn. There's a line. You go this side, I stay this side.
For sure.
And that's it.
I think within reason, again, it depends what your role is. And if it is integral to the psyche of that individual and you're just not there, then absolutely. And that would show up in the interview, So that's just kind of my thing. And please, guys, I don't want you to do ads for pads and tampons because your ads in the past have been horrific. Women playing tennis in white outfits. So I think it just kind of needs to make sense, right?
Yeah. Getting a job through networking is unfair.
Who agrees?
None of us.
Nobody agrees. Exactly. Because I feel like, I get it as a saying that says your net worth is your net worth.
100%.
Hey, if you cannot talk for yourself, if you cannot sell yourself, wait. Why are you sleeping on yourself?
Exactly.
It's no. We're absolutely not going to sit back now and say, no, he went to school, I didn't. Hey, Baba, if I can speak my way in, trust me, I'm running with that bread. No, absolutely. I'm going to talk for myself and I can talk and I'm going with it. If you're sleeping because you have the paper, hey, Baba, it's a paper. You paid fees. You own Netflix. Me, I can talk. Let's go. Absolutely. No.
You have a lot of people who know quite a lot, but because they are not expressive enough or they're not in the spaces where they can be given opportunities, the network being your net worth, jargon. It's true. There's a lot of people who have moved ahead in life not because they were so exceptional, but because they were in spaces or they knew people who could open doors quicker and faster for them versus them having to use their skills for a period of time in order to show what they can do. So yes, both are very important. But looking at dynamics now, the who you know has been more advantageous for more people than the what you know.
The unemployment in South Africa is major. So I feel like networking is just one of the ways you can be employed. So taking it away is taking out another avenue where people can find employment. I mean, some people are good at communicating via LinkedIn. Some people are good at having almost like the best portfolio, but they can't speak to people when they're at an event where they can network. So I just feel like it's just one of the ways where you can get a job, and cutting down those routes.
What's the saying? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can know the right people and you can stuff up the opportunity by being a complete dumbass. So you've got to still be able to do the job and you've got to be able to walk the talk. So you need both.
I feel like having no connections but having a wealth of knowledge, information, experience, and talent is much better than having the right connections. It's a matter of time before you get what you deserve. And if I had a company of my own, I wouldn't hire my brother or his cousin, because I want my company to grow and I want the best output that it can possibly give out. And the best person for that would be someone that knows more, not someone that knows me or, yeah.
If you can get your job or get a job using different ways, good for you. There are people who are very good with putting together or selling themselves on paper, whose CVs, when you read at first glance, you're like, oh, wow, right? Then there are people who are really good at expressing themselves or connecting with other people and selling themselves. So it's just a matter of find a way that works for you. I do always encourage people, and especially whether you are in senior management or even if you are a young person starting up, build your networks. Go to environments that allow you to meet and build your networks as well. You can be, a director, and your next step is probably you want to be a CEO, but you're not getting there because your network is not enabling you to go to that next level. So either or, like you said, keep networking, whatever platforms, whether you're using the likes of LinkedIn. There's nothing wrong with pinging someone on LinkedIn and saying, hey, I'm so-and-so. Can you be my mentor? Hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm interested in your field of work. What does it entail? What do you do? Can I shadow you? There's nothing wrong with, reaching out to people and starting to build networks and invite me to sessions, invite me to, events that you might host and so forth, so that I can know a little bit better. And that's how it works.
For me, I think in South Africa, we have a lot of connections. We use that word connections within SA, where you find somebody would get a job and then they don't actually, meet the criteria.
Yeah, we're not talking about those undercover ones.
We're not talking about nepotism.
Not those ones. Not those ones.
Yeah.
I'm talking about maybe somebody who actually doesn't look like they're fit for the job, maybe a metro police, and then you'd see like this thing, there's connections. There's connections that are there because that's how it is. Like, we need to actually grow your network so that you can actually meet new people and get opportunities. If we take that off the plate, I also agree that
as long as you qualify,
a lot of people are going to struggle.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Like
As long as you qualify.
I networked with a couple of recruiters before I got into, I'm in the creative industry, and
we can tell.
I needed to somehow find out what are the recruiters considering when they're looking at portfolios. Yeah. And there was like this thing that rang in my mind for a long time is have a good idea of what the best or good looks like for your industry. Because you're applying blindly, not knowing what the other applicants have there.
That's true.
And finding out, okay, cool, when I put my CV forward, what are they looking at? And be honest with yourself, if you don't have a skill or it's not strong enough or appearing strong enough, maybe it's time to go back and work on some things. Maybe you should write your CV differently, but you can network for a job, but you can also network to grow yourself. And I think people are always networking for a job, but you can ask around, well, okay, how can I get better at this? How can my portfolio look better? How can I improve this and this from people that are in charge of the hiring processes? And then maybe you can start networking to find a job. But it's a healthy thing altogether.